All right, SoFi update here on the first. Just go ahead and get this out of the way right now because they've set it up again for us to be in another poly market night where we have Trump speaking. Nobody knows what he's going to say. We have the market up. Is the market going to continue going up, or are we going to get a sell-off? That's the question. And the thing is about Trump is if he says something really, really good, we could just gap up where technically we're below all these moving averages. He could just gap it up. Or are we going to get a pullback where I have drawn up here and then go higher from there? Or do we get some really bad news and go to lower lows? So it really is turning into a poly market where everybody is just predicting what the president's going to say at this point. So based on what I see here, I would lean towards a pullback. But if he gives us good news, like really good news, let's say the war is finished, we've done everything, we don't have to do anything else, we could easily gap back up here to 6,800, and I wouldn't be that surprised. So it's going to come down to that, but overall, the overall path I'm looking for is something like this as my number one scenario now. We came up so much. And number two scenario would be really bad news, and we go down here to 6,000. Third scenario, based just on technicals alone, would be just straight up here to 6,800. So I would lean towards this setup right here. What does that mean for SoFi? I'm going to give you two different counts on SoFi. The first one we'll go over is actually going to be the short-term bullish one. If you go back to the count I had a while back, which was the third wave is right here. That would make this the overall fifth wave right here. So on this count, 5 waves. And then right here, we got a move up, which I had labeled as a fourth wave. But in this scenario, this would actually be an A wave. That's how it would play out. And why is that possible? Because this right here is only an ABC move. We went to the 1.61 fib. So this right here could be an ABC move. And that would make this whole thing A, ABC, B, and we'd be in a C wave higher. That could even play out if we get the higher low right here. That could still play like that. Maybe SoFi does not go down that much. There is a gap down here at 15.16. Maybe it ends up going like this. Something like that. Over the next couple of weeks, maybe into the end of April, we get something like that. That would mean that it would make a higher low with the market right here, and then we would blast off with the move up here. And where would the target be on that count? I'd be looking anywhere from 1763 to potentially 23 bucks. I know it's a big, wide target, but it's possible we get all the way up here to 21 bucks. So I'd be careful selling covered calls here because this could play out. We are severely oversold, and this would end up being bearish overall, but short-term bullish. Why would it be bearish overall? Because remember, this is 5 waves in this scenario. This is 5 waves. This would end up being A, B, and then we would get the C wave down later. So this would probably go up. I would think it would break this area. Go up here to like 20, 21, 22 bucks. And then we would get the C wave down. In the market, it would go like this. It would go down here to probably 6,000, maybe 5,700, something like that. I do think the overall market is going to go down to at least 6,000. So I don't think that was the bottom. So I would definitely expect some more downside in SOFI one way or the other. So then we can go back to the count that I had from the other day. And that count was that we're in a fifth wave here. And this was a fourth wave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. At this point, for how high we went up, we'd be looking down here at like at least 1350-ish. But again, you have the 200 on the weekly down here around like 12 bucks. So which one looks more likely now? Let's zoom in here even farther. I mean, this is a pretty impulsive move off the lows. So I would say, based off that, I would say that I'm actually, I don't want to say I'm leaning that way. I guess I'm pretty much 50-50. I don't really care what happens. I'm not going to sell cover calls here. So if we do get that C wave up here, I'd probably sell some swing shares up in this area, take some profit in this area, and then expect that move down here to 10 to 15 bucks. If not, then I'll just be adding down here between 13 and 15 bucks. Maybe 12 bucks if we get a big move down. So I think that selling covered calls here is probably a pretty bad strategy because you're not going to really you'll make a little bit of money on this move, but you're risking, let's say you sell like, I don't know, a month out, 5-1, $19 calls in this area, and we end up going like this. And you just left 2 or 3 bucks on the table up in this range. It doesn't really make that much sense to sell cover calls here. So I'd be careful. I do think it's likely, though, regardless of either one of these counts, I do think it's likely that we're going to see this gap fill, which is right here, 15, 16, regardless. We're most likely going down here. Because think about where we're at. If we pull back, SOFI is definitely going to come down here at least to 15, 16. Maybe we make that lower low. We'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much the scenarios I have going forward. Those are the two scenarios I see over the next. Let's see, how long would this last? This C wave could last. I would say it could last a couple of weeks, probably into OPEX. Maybe into April OPEX if we do go higher. So you're looking at April 17th up here. And then we would expect a big move down from there. If we get the move down here, it's probably the overall bottom. So those are the scenarios I have right now. It doesn't really make that much difference. But if you want this move to get over quicker, you want to see a lower low right away. If we don't get that lower low and we go up here, then that means we're only seeing the overall B wave and we're going to see a C wave lower. So we'll see which one plays out. I do expect that 15, 16 gap to hit more than likely, regardless, unless Trump says something crazy and we just go straight up here to 6,800. If that happens, then all bets are off. Maybe we just keep on going higher. Anyway, that's it for this update. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.